So guys, we've been talking about time and price. So let's look at what this time is all about. Now here, time is translated into what we call sessions. And then we have three major sessions. We have another session, but this is a three major session I like to look at. So we have the Asian time session, we have the London time session, and the New York time session. Now each of these sessions lasts for a period of 9 hours each. So let's say this starts from 0.00, it will end around 9 a.m. This might start by 7 a.m. and 9 hours from there will end. This might start around 1 p.m. and then GMT plus 1, and then end 9 hours later. Now let's look at it holistically. Now when we're talking about charts, we have this place as our price, this place as our time. So from the beginning to this, we have our Asia, our London, and our New York. So this is how it look like. But in a typical normal scenario, real life scenario, this is actually how it looks like. There are places of interception. Asia is the least volatile session, thereby range bound on a typical scenario. Now London is the most volatile session, thereby very trendy. Then we have New York. This is the second most volatile, thereby also trendy. Now we have this region where there is an intersection between Asia and London. So before Asia ends, London starts, and then there's this intersection. So before London ends, New York starts. There's this intersection. So I call this the regional trade time intersection. These times are the most volatile, liquid yet volatile in a typical scenario. So in a typical scenario, you see most of the moves, like this sporadic move, because these are two regional trade times intercepting through. So this is just like, why this is called Asian session is because, like, for instance, let's say in your country, work starts by 7 a.m. So in Asia, based on your time, work will start from here and then end here. So 9 hours. So he said he has a 9 to 5 work. So 9 hours. That is that 9 hours. 9 to 5. He works 9 to 5. He works 9 to 5. So 9 hours, 5 days. So that 9 hours is represented here. So the market operates within that 9 hours that people work. So for London, maybe they are 7 a.m. where they start is here. So that's 9 hours, ends somewhere around here. So that's this interception. New York starts their own 9 hours, and so this is just it. Now we look at here. So normally we are range bound during Asia. Now let me make something clear. When you're looking at Asian pair, now we're looking at Euro USD for instance. So we've just been discussing this. We have other Asian pairs. Now Asian pairs are most volatile during what? Asian session. Now remember Euro, talking about Europe, having almost the same geopolitical zone as London. So Euro pairs operate more in London. GBP is a London pair, so operates more in London. USD operates more in what? New York. So you see the most volatility in Asia pairs like Aussie, New Zealand, Japanese yen. Yeah, you see these three majorly you see them react the most during Asia. They are most volatile during Asia because that is their work time. Now you see things like Swiss franc, GBP, Euro react the most here, and then you see USD and CAD, that is Canadian dollar, react the most, having their most volatility during the New York session because this is their work time. So the currency acts more actively during that period. So let's say typically we're looking at Euro, so we'll see more of a rangy time during the Asian session, and then we'll see this trend creeping in during what? New York, and then continuing during New York because it's Euro and USD. So these two becomes their most trendy time, which is London and New York, and then approaching Asia again, we'll now start seeing what this retracement and then accumulative move. Now the same thing goes here. When we are bearish, we see accumulation during Asian session. We'll now see start trending down, starting during the London session up until New York, and then you see this. So it's just as simple as this. Are just real life scenarios, you know, being translated in a way that might seem strange, but like you just have to understand that there's nothing strange about all these things. It's just understanding the concept. So like if we're dealing on, let's say, something like AUD, let's say AUD JPY. If we're looking at something like AUD JPY, we might start seeing something like of this nature. We might start seeing AUD start to trend here, you know, maybe we'll now start seeing something like this, you know, do another session. So let me make this tick, and then probably maybe greenish. So we'll see something like this, because Asia becomes what? The most reactive time. Does that make any sense? So that is just it for this. That is just it. So depending on the pair, but I'm looking at Euro USD and GBP USD, so that is why I am giving just this illustration. So there is a whole lot of things when you look at this. So that's it.